Hi, good morning, students. How are you, all of you? I hope everybody is doing well and you might have been revised well about the previous topics that we have studied as a coordination and responses, right? And we have studied two different types of nervous system, right? One is central nervous system, another one is a peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system includes the brain and spinal cord, and a peripheral nervous system connects the brain or the central nervous system to different parts of the body. And the peripheral nervous system receives the stimulus from the receptors and sends to the central nervous system. Okay, so all these things we have been studied in the previous class, and now we are going to start the next topic in this lesson: coordination responses, nerve cells. Okay, the nerve cells are the nerves. Okay, the fundamental unit of the nervous system is the nerves. That is called nerve cell. Other name is neuron. Neuron means nerve cell. Don't forget it at any time. So these neurons are of three types. Generally, we can see in this in our body. The first type is called as the motor neuron. Second one is the sensory neuron, and the third one is the relay neuron. Okay, sensory neuron, motor neuron, and relay neuron. There are three types of neuron. You don't forget at any time. We can start first about the neuron. What is neurons? So neurons are one of the most important structures of the nervous system. So neurons act as a wire that transmits electrical impulses all over the body. Like a cable that consists of many wires, a bundle of neurons is called a nerve. There are three types of neurons. Each type is to transmit electrical impulses from a specific place to another. You understand now clearly? The neurons are one of the most important structures of the nervous system. Neurons are like a wire. The cable is there. There are a lot of cables are joined together making one wire. Like that, many neurons are joined together forming one nerve. Okay, one nerve is formed because of many neurons. So like a cable that consists of many wires, a bundle of neurons is called nerve. There are three types of neurons I told you: motor neuron, sensory neuron, and then the relay neuron. Each type is to transmit electrical. The main function of this neuron is it transmits electrical impulses from a specific place to another place, one place to another place. That is the function of this neuron. Okay. Let us see first the motor neuron. You can see these neuron structure. You can see very clearly, right? So this is a neuron that transmits electrical impulses from the central nervous system to the effectors. Okay. So from the brain or central nervous system, the impulses taken to the effectors or the glands, right? Muscles or glands, effector. This is mainly done by motor neurons. So the function of the motor neuron, you don't forget, it takes or transmits impulses from the brain, or you can say central nervous system. No problem. Brain also okay. From the brain to the effectors is called as the this is called motor neuron. Okay, so you can see the structure of the motor neuron. The top side you can see the cell body is there. Inside the cell body, nucleus is present, and you can see the cell surface membrane. It is an animal cell, so only surface membrane, cell membrane is present, cell wall is absent, right? And the synapse with another neuron that we can see. Synapse means junction, joining with another neuron. One neuron joined with another neuron, like that it will go. So inside the cell you can see clearly the cytoplasm, and dendrites are present in the outer layer. You can see it, we can call it as a dendrites. Okay, don't forget. And you can see the elongated part in the from the cell body called as the axon. The axon is covered by myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is the insulation. Okay, insulation it gives. In the wire you can see outside coating plastic is there, right? Inside there copper wire is there. So the copper wire we can see here the axon, and that plastic coat we can say the myelin sheath here. And motor end plate or joints with effector muscles. Okay, its effectors means muscles, it is there. So this is what we can say the neuron, motor neuron. So motor neuron function, it transmits impulse from the central nervous system to the effectors. Okay, it contains a cell body, cell surface membrane, cytoplasm, dendrites, axons, myelin sheath, and motor end plate, nucleus, etc. Okay, so you can see very clearly this picture. Now, how does it look like, that motor neuron? And let's see about the function. Another thing about this neuron is made up of 3 segments, right? The cell body, first one is the cell body, I told you, which is the shorter part of motor neuron and is in the central nervous system. Axon, which stretches out from the cell body all the way to the end of the neuron, and the motor plate. Okay, so cell body, axon, motor plate. Cell body connects with the brain, and axon, it's a long nerves like structure, wire like structure, and motor end plate joins with the effector muscles. Okay, so you can see, once again I will show this picture. See this picture, cell body is here. I will just mark and show you. So you can see the cell body is the first part, and axon is the second part, and the end plate is the third part. Okay, we can divide this into 3 parts. Okay, this is part 1, this is part 2, this is part 3. This part 1 is go and join with the central nervous system, or we can call brain. Okay, and this part is conducting or transmitting electrical impulse, and this area, right, this area is giving effect or impulses, responses to these muscles. Okay, so this is what we can say. This motor neuron can be classified into 3 parts. The first part is the cell body, and the second part is the axon, third part is the motor end plate. Okay, don't forget at any time. So let's see the next. So neurons have features that are common between most animals, like a nucleus, cytoplasm, and cell surface membrane. Generally, many animals, many mammals are there. We are the mammal, and cows are mammal, elephants are mammal, tigers, cat, rat. So what we are going to sell the common features about all these neurons and among these mammals. Neurons have same features that are common between most animals, like nucleus is present in all the animals. Okay, all the neuron. Cytoplasm is the common. Cell surface membrane is common. But they also have some exclusive features like the axon. The axon is an extended cytoplasm that thread along with electrical impulses travel. Some motor neurons have axons of a length of 1 meter. Axons are coated by a layer of myelin sheath called myelin sheath. Okay, so in some organism we can see the axon's length, the length of the axons may be 1 meter, they are saying. It transmits the electrical impulse from the brain or from the central nervous system to the different parts, or not the different parts, effectors, we can say effectors. Okay, yeah. So it may vary from organism to organism, animal to animal. So this is an electricity insulating layer. Myelin sheath is there. It gives a firm insulation for the action as it transmits the electrical current. Okay, as it transmits the electrical current. And this is electrical insulating layer, which is essential for the proper functioning of the nervous system. Okay, students? Yeah, that's nice. Let's see the next. Another exclusive feature of neuron is the dendrites. Okay, axon we have seen, and the dendrites. Dendrites is the outer side, right? That around the what we can say, around the part of cell body, right? We have seen that one. Dendrites. These are several. So these are several short threads of cytoplasm coming out of the cell body. Their function is to pick up electrical impulse from the cells. Okay, so the electrical impulse comes to the dendrites. From the dendrites, it passes to the next neuron. Like that, it will go. So this is what we can say, the dendrites. So the last exclusive feature of motor neurons only is motor end plate. Third part is the motor end plate. This is just the end of the axon, and which is in the muscle, and it passes the electrical impulses from the neuron to the muscle fibers. Okay, from the neuron to muscle, the responses is given, that is through this motor end plate, we can say. Okay, students. So next we are going to see about the second type, the sensory neurons. So like other neuron, like a motor neuron, sensory neurons carry electrical impulse. So sensory neurons also carry electrical impulses from one place to another. But sensory neurons carry electrical impulses in the direction different to that of motor neurons. From the receptor to CNS. Okay, don't forget. And motor neuron, we have seen, it carries impulses from the central nervous system to the effectors. But the sensory neuron from the sense organs or from the receptors to the CNS or to the brain. That is the main thing. The function you see, sensory neuron transmits impulse from the sense organs or receptors to the central nervous system. That's all. Okay, just opposite function. From the receptor to brain, from the brain to effectors. That's all. Okay. And you can see the structure of the sensory neuron here. The picture is given very clearly here. And you might have seen very clear difference between how does the motor neuron looks like and how does the sensory neuron looks like, right? You can see the cell body is located at the middle of this neuron. But we have seen at the end of the neuron, the motor neuron, right? And here cell body is present, cell surface membrane present, and the nucleus, the cytoplasm, dendrites and axon, you see. Dendrites we have seen at the outpush or outward of the growth of cytoplasm, we have seen the motor neuron. But the axon is the same here, and the central nervous system. The receptor is here, you see, here not motor end plate. And myelin sheath is also covered here, okay. Let's see one by one about the different functions of the different parts of this sensory neuron. Can you see these pictures? I think very clearly, right? Cell body, cell surface membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm, dendrite, axon, myelin sheath. Okay, this is the structure, how this differ from the motor neuron, you can see very clearly. Okay, the cell body here located at the middle of this neuron. So sensory neurons shape is unique. This is because it's made of a cell body with the two arms extending out of it. The first arm is the axon, which is other end is the center. Second arm is the dendrite. So left side is the you can see this picture very clearly. So left side is the axon is present. So you can see left side is axon and right side is dendrite is present, right? And other end is in CNS, and the second arm is the dendrite. So which is other end is in the receptor. The dendrite is similar in structure to the axon except that it joins the receptor with the cell body. So the dendrite is similar in structure to the axon. Same structure. What is axon? How much axon size? That is the same dendrite, except that joins the receptor with the cell body. This one joins with the other neuron, right? This one is joins with the cell body. Okay. So the electrical impulse of the sensory neuron flow from the receptor through the dendrite to the cell body, then from the cell body to the central nervous system through the axon. Okay. So this is the function of this central nervous system. You can see very clearly about these things. Now we can see one more neuron that is called as relay neuron. How does it look like, relay neuron? Relay neurons are located in the central nervous system. Okay. And their job is to pass electrical impulse from the sensory neuron to the motor neuron. So it acts as a diversion. So what's the function of the relay neuron? It is located in the brain. The sensory neuron brings the information to the brain, and this information in the brain converts or transmits to the motor neuron by relay neuron. Okay. So it connects the sensory neuron with the motor neuron. It's like a bridge. Okay. So it bridges between this sensory neuron and the motor neuron. That's all. You can see the structure of this relay neuron, and the dendrites are present, cell body is present, axons present, synapse. So this is the structure. You can see how does it look like, and how about the different structure of three different neurons found in our body. Okay. Okay, students, and next we will see. So where neurons meet, they are not actually touching each other. Instead, there's a gap called synapse or junction box. When the electrical impulse reaches the end of the neuron secretes a chemical transmitter which passes by diffusion. to the other neuron, causing the impulse to carry from the neuron to second. Okay, so actually neurons are not meeting one another exactly. Instead of that, there is some gap between one neuron and another neuron. That gap we can call as a synapse, junction box. When the electrical impulse reaches the end of neuron, the neuron secretes a chemical transmitter. Chemical neurotransmitter we can say, okay, chemical transmitter. It's a chemical neurotransmitter chemical we can say, which passes by diffusion to the other neuron. Through this transmitter, by the process of diffusion, this impulse passes from one neuron to another neuron till reaching the brain. So this is the way. So synapse means what? It is a junction between the two neurons and are filled with a chemical neurotransmitter. Okay, students, now we have seen clearly about the three different types of a neuron in this lesson and their structure and their function: motor neuron, sensory neuron, and relay neuron. You can go through this video again and to get more information to recollect this topic very clearly. We can meet in the next lesson, next class. Okay.